Human ships always looked small beside alien vessels, but today the contrast felt deliberate, almost staged. When the Terran escort fleet drifted into the approach lane of Concord Helios, every cruiser, frigate, and shuttle seemed dull against the luminous silhouettes of the other Empire's craft. Alien hulls shone with mirrored alloys and woven plasma veins. Human steel, by comparison, carried scuffs, weld marks, and an unpolished practicality that made nearby crews smirk openly from their viewports. Commander Rian Salas stood on the observation deck of the Terran cruiser Resolute Dawn, hands clasped behind his back as the docking clamps locked into place. Behind the glass, the station extended like a cathedral of light, curved platforms suspended around a rotating central spire, each ring adorned with banners representing hundreds of civilizations. The galaxy had come to discuss policy, borders, and trade. Humanity had come hoping to be seen as something more than background noise. Rian took a slow breath, steadying the conflict inside him. He had grown used to the condescension, but it always felt like grit under his ribs. Still, he carried himself with disciplined calm. Losing composure now would only reinforce the assumptions surrounding humanity: impulsive, emotional, primitive. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Vane, stepped beside him. Docking complete. Diplomatic teams are waiting on Deck 3. Any hostile signals? Rian asked. None detected. Just the usual posturing. Posturing was an understatement. Across the docking bay, delegates from the Errand Coalition pointed at the Resolute Dawn as if it were an artifact from a scrapyard. A pair of Zalari engineers actually laughed, sharp, chittering bursts that echoed across the chamber. Mara muttered, "They don't even hide it anymore." "Why would they?" Rian said quietly. "Everyone believes the Terran frontier is too weak to defend itself. Let them entertain the illusion." He offered nothing more. She didn't need to know the truth humming quietly behind his eyes. Very few people did. They descended through the docking causeway toward the summit hall. Banners of fractal blues, shimmering bronze, and prismatic glyphs floated above the entrance. The Terran banner, simple navy with a silver crest, looked almost modest in comparison, though Rian found its restraint dignified. Inside, sound crashed like wave. Hundreds of delegates moved in shifting clusters. Diplomats, officers, merchants, envoys from newly contacted worlds. And at the center of it all stood the figure every eye gravitated toward, Archstrategos Velcaruan of the Karth Dominion. He wore armor plated with iridescent scales, each tile catching the hall's light in a different hue. His forward crest, a sign of military rank, curved like a blade above his head. He radiated confidence, the predatory kind that came from commanding fleets powerful enough to erase continents. Rian's jaw tensed despite his effort to remain impassive. Velcaruan's gaze found the Terran delegation almost instantly. His lips curled into an amused sneer as he approached. "Well," the Strategos said, voice smooth and cutting, "the mammals have arrived. A touch late, but I suppose your antiquated drive systems struggle to keep pace." Rian stepped forward before Mara could respond. "Terran vessels meet all interstellar standards, Strategos." "Standards, yes," Velcaruan said. "Competence, questionable." Several nearby delegates chuckled. A few pretended not to listen while leaning closer. Rian kept his voice level. Humanity came to participate in peaceful negotiation, not endure mockery. "Then perhaps you should upgrade your fleet," Velcaruan replied. "The galaxy will take you seriously when your ships stop resembling abandoned mining rigs." He walked away without waiting for a reply, followed by attendants carrying holographic tablets shaped like ceremonial scrolls. The cruelty had been casual, effortless, and thoroughly intentional. Rian felt Mara shift uneasily beside him. "Why do we keep attending these summits?" she whispered. "They don't want us here. They just enjoy having someone to look down on." "We attend," Rian said as he resumed walking, "so they never forget we exist." As they reached the Terran seating platform, Rian's wrist console vibrated, a private, encrypted signal routed through 6 layers of classified relays. He angled the screen away from view. Aurora readiness, vigil level. Standing by. Awaiting further instruction. The words glowed for 2 seconds before dissolving. He exhaled slowly, anchoring his thoughts. The project remained secure, unseen, unknown, exactly as intended. Still, the timing made him uneasy. If Central Command reached out now, they sensed something coming. A metallic gong echoed through the chamber. The summit moderator, a translucent-hued Syrixian, floated to the center podium. Let the convocation begin. Today we discuss disputes along the neutrality expanse. All representatives may present claims or... A wave of murmurs interrupted her. Rian followed their line of sight. Velcaruan had activated a holomap above his platform. It displayed a vast region along the Orion Arm, specifically, the belt bordering Terran space. The Dominion's claim lines pulsed an ominous red. The expanse, Velcaruan declared, has long suffered instability. For the good of the galaxy, the Karth Dominion proposes administering this region, permanently. Rian stiffened. That region included several human colonies, places families lived, places his mother once patrolled before. He forced the thought aside. A coalition diplomat objected loudly. Another demanded justification. Velcaruan dismissed both with a flick of his hand. Then he looked directly at Rian. The Terrans may also comment, he said, voice thick with mock graciousness. If they believe their modest forces can maintain such a complex region. Rian stood. Human settlers have inhabited the expanse for generations. The Dominion has no authority to claim their homes. Velcaruan's smile sharpened. Authority flows from strength, Commander. Perhaps one day you will grasp this. The chamber again filled with hushed laughter. Rian didn't flinch. Strength without restraint is simply violence. Violence, Velcaruan replied, is the purest form of negotiation. The moderator intervened, guiding the discussions back to order, but the tone had been set. Rian knew the Dominion was not posturing. They were preparing something, and they wanted the galaxy to see humanity as unworthy of resistance. As the summit continued, Rian's mind drifted to a star system far from Concord Helios, one few in the galaxy even suspected existed. Inside it, sealed within an artificial nebular veil, waited the most advanced fleet humanity had ever built. Ships no alien had laid eyes on. Engines no conventional physics could easily define. Armor designed to warp particle flow itself. If the Dominion forced humanity into conflict, that fleet would move. But revealing it too soon would forfeit its greatest power, surprise. Rian's attention returned to the present as Mara leaned in. They've already decided, haven't they? They want the expanse. Yes, he said quietly. And they assume we cannot stop them. Can we? Rian did not answer directly. Instead, he looked across the summit hall at Velcaruan, whose eyes glittered with predatory intent. They think we're fragile, Rian murmured. They've mistaken patience for weakness. Mara followed his gaze. And if they attack first? Rian's expression hardened. Then we stop being patient. The summit chamber dimmed as a new holomap flickered into existence above the central podium. Lines of shifting borders, trade routes, and political zones shimmered like threads in a tangled web. Delegates leaned forward, confused by the abrupt override. The moderator had not called for another presentation. Rian knew instantly something was wrong. A low tremor ran through the station, a pulse more felt than heard. The air itself seemed to tighten. Mara shot him a glance, her hand drifting subtly toward the emergency comm embedded in her wrist. Interference, she whispered. He nodded. Localized. Controlled. Before he could say more, the chamber doors sealed shut with a resonant clang. A hush spread across the delegates as heavy shutters locked into place, darkening the hall's curved windows. The only remaining light came from the unnatural red map expanding above them. Velcaruan stepped forward, illuminated by the crimson glow. His voice carried clearly, unnervingly calm. "Representatives of the galaxy, I bring news the Dominion has long withheld in restraint and patience. That patience ends today." The station vibrated again, this time unmistakably from exterior force. Rian tapped his wrist console, routing a silent diagnostic. The readout returned almost instantly. "Warning: multiple unidentified vessels entering proximity. Energy signatures: Karth Dominion war pattern. Concord Helios defensive grid, suppressed." Mara swore under her breath. Velcaruin continued as if reading from a personal script. "The neutrality expanse is no longer viable. Lawlessness spreads, trade falters, and certain species," his eyes fixed on the Terran delegation, "lack the military capacity to maintain order." Rian stood slowly. "Strategos, the expanse is under joint oversight. No empire may seize it unilaterally." "That was the old arrangement," Velcaruin said. "I now present the new reality." The holomap zoomed outward to reveal dozens of Dominion warships encircling the station, sleek, predatory silhouettes glowing with charged energy. Gasps rippled across the hall. Several delegates shouted protests, but the strategos ignored them. Rian felt the shift in the room. Fear had replaced arrogance. "You're violating every treaty governing this region," Rian said. Velcaruin's tone held nothing but satisfaction. "Treaties exist to maintain balance. Balance vanishes once weakness spreads. We restore balance." The moderator attempted to intervene, but Velcaruin raised one hand. A Dominion officer pressed a device on his wrist, and the moderator's podium powered down with a crackling whine. "In light of these developments," Velcaruin said, "the Dominion offers the Terran species a single, merciful course. Surrender your sovereignty. Accept Dominion stewardship. Your worlds will be spared destruction." Rian stared at him, unable to believe the naked boldness. The strategos had chosen the summit precisely because the galaxy would witness humanity's humiliation firsthand. An errand ambassador shouted, "You dare threaten another species at a peace convocation?" Velcaruin turned his head with lazy amusement. "I dare whatever is necessary." Rian stepped forward. "Humanity will not surrender. Not here. Not anywhere." "Your sentiment," Velcaruin replied, "is irrelevant. Your fleet, such as it is, cannot defend even your nearest colonies. The Dominion will take the expanse with or without your consent." Delegates murmured nervously. Some whispered that humans should accept the offer to avoid a massacre. Others speculated that Terran colonies were as good as lost. Rian heard every word, each one stoking a deep frustration he kept buried behind discipline. Mara leaned close. "Sir, should we stall?" "No," Rian said. "They won't negotiate. They came for dominance, not discussion." Velcaruin gestured once, and the holomap shifted to highlight various Terran settlements along the expanse. Their coordinates pulsed like target. "This is the Dominion's warning to you," Velcaruin said. "Surrender now and we annex peacefully. Resist." He let the sentence trail off, letting implications say what diplomacy normally wouldn't. Rian felt something fracture inside him. Not fear, but the steady, controlled version of anger refined over years of loss. His mother's face flashed unbidden in his memory. Her uniform scorched, her hand reaching for him through the smoke of the outpost debris. He'd been 19 when the Dominion raiders struck her patrol sector. There had been no help, no reinforcements. The galaxy had shrugged at human casualties. He drew a breath and let the memory settle, a quiet fire beneath his ribs. "You mistake Terran silence for submission," Rian said. "You will regret it." Velcaruin's grin widened. "Oh? Will your quaint cruisers frighten us? Perhaps you'll pelt us with those charming slug cannons your people cling to." Mara bristled, but Rian's voice remained controlled. "Our vessels are not yours to judge. They are everyone's to judge," Velcaruin countered. "And judgment is unanimous." Rian glanced subtly at his wrist console. The encryption interface pulsed faintly, awaiting command. He shifted slightly, blocking Mara's view as he keyed the hidden sequence. The icon flashed once. Condition Solstice. Authorized. Project Aurora status. Initiating mobilization. The message dissolved as soon as it appeared. Rian turned back to the Strategos. Dominion aggression will be answered. By whom? Velcaruin asked. Your diplomats? Your scrap metal escorts parked beside this station. One of his guards laughed, a coarse, guttural noise. Mara stepped forward, voice sharp. Strategos, Terran forces will defend our space. Do not mistake us. Velcaruin leaned toward her. Lieutenant, I do not mistake you. I simply do not think about you at all. Before she could retort, the station lights flickered again, this time more violently. Emergency conduits groaned as Dominion ships intensified their power output, effectively choking the station's systems. Rian spoke loudly enough for surrounding delegates to hear. You fire on this station, Strategos, and every empire represented here becomes your enemy. Velcaruin shrugged. They will adapt. Fear shapes alliances faster than reason. The chamber erupted into uproar. Even species normally allied with the Dominion recoiled at the threat. Yet no one moved to stop him. They watched instead, some horrified, some curious, wondering how humans would respond. Rian realized then that humanity stood utterly alone. But alone was not the same as powerless. He straightened, posture calm, expression unreadable. Your actions today will define the future of this region. Yes, Velcaruin agreed. A future without Terran defiance. The Strategos turned away, signaling his officers. Through the sealed windows, the red glow of Dominion thrusters washed across the chamber walls. Mara whispered, "What now?" Rian's answer was quiet, deliberate. "Now we stop waiting." He lifted his gaze toward the darkened windows, knowing what was coming, what he had just set in motion far beyond the station's scanners. Somewhere in the distant void, engines no alien had ever witnessed were igniting. And the Dominion had no idea what was about to arrive. A deep hum rolled through Concord Helios, sending a shiver down the metal walkways. Delegates turned in confusion as the floor vibrated, a sharper, more deliberate tremor than the earlier interference. Rian felt it immediately. The timing aligned too precisely to be coincidence. Mara leaned toward him. That didn't come from the Dominion ships. No, Rian said. It didn't. Across the chamber, Velcaruin stood atop his platform, issuing orders in clipped tones through a private channel. Dominion officers around him stiffened as a new alert flickered across their wrist screens, something they clearly had not predicted. Rian's wrist console illuminated again, this time with a single encrypted line. Aurora emergence. Phase 1 completed. Awaiting signal. His heartbeat steadied. What he had set in motion was moving faster than he'd anticipated. The lights overhead dimmed as shadows rippled across the sealed windows. A metallic groan echoed throughout the hall. Delegates tensed, some stepping back, others pressing closer to the viewports as the shutters began retracting, slowly but unmistakably, as if forced open by an external override. Velcaruin snapped toward a Dominion technician. "Why are the shutters opening?" "I ordered full lockdown." "Strategos," the officer stammered. "The station's access protocols are being overridden from an unknown external source." "Then isolate the grid." "We're trying." "Something is bypassing everything." Rian didn't bother hiding the faint curve of satisfaction tugging at his mouth. Mara whispered, "Sir, did we do that?" "No," Rian said. "We did something else." The shutters finished their reluctant ascent, revealing the void beyond, an expanse lit only by distant stars and the glow of Dominion assault cruisers. But there was something else now. A distortion shimmered behind the outer ring of Dominion warships, like light bending around invisible shape. Velcaruin noticed it the same instant Rian did. "What is that anomaly?" Before any sensor could answer, space fractured into rippling waves. Hundreds of silhouettes coalesced from nothing, emerging with a coordinated precision that made every alien in the chamber fall silent. Then the shadows solidified into ships. Not human ships as the galaxy knew them. Nothing about them resembled the blocky craft humanity had been mocked for. These vessels were sleek and luminous, curved as if sculpted from refracted starlight. Their hulls shimmered with a quantum-lensed effect, bending light into sharp, radiant edges. Their engines pulsed in silent rhythms, generating gravitational patterns that twisted the surrounding space. Project Aurora had arrived. Mara exhaled a stunned breath. By every star, they're beautiful. Rian allowed himself a single, controlled nod. Delegates across the hall stared in disbelief. Some stepped back instinctively. Others whispered frantic translations into their comlink. Even the species known for stoic emotional displays stood frozen. The Aurora fleet formed a perfect trident formation, not threatening yet, but impossibly precise, as if choreographed over years. And in truth, it had been. Velcaruan's confidence faltered for the first time. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. Rian answered calmly. "You're seeing the Terran Defense Authority's Aurora fleet. I warned you not to mistake patience for submission." Velcaruan snapped. "The Terrans do not possess such technology." "You never thought to look beyond what you assumed," Rian said. "You expected weakness. You never imagined we were hiding our evolution." The Dominion ships attempted to reposition, but their movements were sluggish compared to the Aurora fleet's silent glide. The new human ships expanded their formation with calculated ease. Velcaruan barked at his officers. "Prepare all batteries. Target the emergent vessels." Dominion cruisers aimed their cannons, engines flaring. Rian raised his wrist console, transmitting a narrow-beam command. "Aurora Fleet, execute Phase 2. The fleet responded instantly. Their hulls brightened as specialized weapon arrays unfolded from beneath refractive plating. These were not kinetic cannons or conventional beam weapons. They were quantum pulse projectors, systems capable of redirecting gravitational energy into devastating, focused blasts. Mara swallowed. "Sir, once they fire, everything changes." "It already has," Rian said quietly. The Dominion flagship launched the first shot, a searing arc of plasma slicing through space. It streaked toward an Aurora cruiser. Rian whispered, "Now." The cruiser shifted position in a microsecond, its gravity lens engine bending the plasma around its hull, redirecting the blast harmlessly into the void. Delegates gasped, several shouted in disbelief. Velcaruan froze, eyes wide. "Impossible." Rian opened the station-wide comm channel, his voice calm and precise. "Strategos, you chose this. Humanity did not come here seeking conflict." Velcaruan's response came through clenched teeth. "Your species was never meant to rise." Rian's tone hardened. "You'll have to adjust." With a synchronized flash, the Aurora fleet fired. Dozens of gravity pulses erupted at once, silent, brilliant arcs that struck Dominion cruisers with pinpoint accuracy. Ships that had once intimidated entire sectors now buckled instantly, collapsing into spirals of molten debris. The pulses didn't simply destroy, they neutralized structural cohesion, turning armored hulls brittle, then breaking them apart as easily as dry leave. Mara whispered, "I've never seen anything like this." "That's the point," Rian replied. "No one has." Dominion vessels scrambled, but their formations broke almost immediately. Several attempted to retreat, others launched counterfire in desperate, uncoordinated bursts. The Aurora fleet dodged each attack with fluid, almost organic movement. Every evasive maneuver was precise. Every counterstrike was efficient. Velcaruan stared at the carnage, unable to process how quickly the balance of power had shifted. "This cannot be happening," he muttered. "Humans do not wield such strength." "They cannot." Rian cut him off. "You never understood us. You saw only what you wanted to see." A Dominion cruiser exploded outside the window, sending fragments scattering like molten glass. Delegates flinched backward despite the reinforced shielding. Velcaruin trembled, not in fear but in pure disbelief. Rian stepped closer to him, voice calm but edged with quiet command. "You demanded we kneel," Rian said. "Now you witness the answer." Another Aurora ship soared past the viewport, engines bending the starlight around it like a halo. Velcaruin whispered, "What are these vessels?" Rian held his gaze. "The future you tried to deny us." Outside, the last Dominion cruiser in the primary assault group fractured under a final pulse strike, collapsing into a drifting cloud of incandescent debris. The chamber fell into utter silence. Rian lowered his wrist console. "It's over, strategos." Velcaruin shook his head slowly, mind refusing reality. "No. The Dominion never falls." Rian turned away. "It already has." For a moment, the battlefield outside Concord Helios fell into an eerie stillness. The debris of the first Dominion assault drifted like glowing ash, each fragment reflecting light from the Aurora fleet's shimmering hulls. Delegates inside the summit chamber watched with a stunned mix of awe and dread. Humanity, once dismissed as weak, had overturned everything in minute. But the silence broke as a thunderous ripple tore through space. New signatures flared on the chamber's tactical displays. Dominion reinforcements, dozens of them, surged into real space in a lattice of blue fire. These ships were larger, heavier, armed with long-range disruptors capable of carving through dreadnought armor. Mara's expression tightened. "They sent a full battle division." "They had to," Rian said. "Their pride won't allow retreat yet." Across the chamber, Velcaruin straightened, clinging to the arrival of reinforcements as if they restored his authority. "Behold, Commander. The Dominion answers your insolence. You believe a hidden fleet grants victory? It grants your extinction." Rian didn't rise to the bait. He tapped his wrist console, transferring battle telemetry to the Aurora command network. Outside, the Dominion division fanned into formation. Their ships dwarfed the earlier assault group. Multiple capital vessels, carrier platforms, and a colossal flagship armed with a superweapon mounted along its ventral spine. The luminous weapon core pulsed slowly, each oscillation sending tremors across local space. Velcaruin's voice dripped with confidence. "That cannon ends worlds. Your fragile fleet cannot withstand its strike." Rian lifted his gaze toward the viewport. "We'll see." The Aurora fleet shifted as one entity, engines bending gravity into luminous arcs. They formed a crescent around the station, each ship's radiant hull shimmering between visible spectrum and distortion field. Dominion carriers launched waves of fighters, sharp-winged craft that streaked forward in a dense cloud. Behind them, capital vessels charged disruptor cannons, sending surges of plasma across the battlefield. Rian opened a fleet-wide channel. "Aurora Fleet, Phase 3 engagement. Protect the station. Neutralize hostiles. Prioritize structural integrity." A chorus of confirmations followed, a calm, disciplined symphony. The human vessels surged forward. Aurora interceptors, sleek and razor-precise, broke into swarms that sliced through Dominion fighters with surgical accuracy. Their gravity-lensed engines allowed maneuvers impossible for conventional craft, instant pivots, sharp reversals, and near-silent acceleration bursts that left enemy pilots disoriented and fumbling. "Multiple hostile squadrons down," Mara reported, eyes locked on the tactical overlay. Capital fire erupted next. Dominion disruptors launched waves of searing energy across the crescent formation. The Aurora cruisers shimmered as their refractive armor diverted incoming blasts, bending the energy away like ripples off a river stone. Velcaruin slammed a fist onto his console. "How do your ships nullify disruptor fire?" Rian kept his tone matter-of-fact. "Adaptation. Something humanity excels at." The Dominion flagship began gathering power. The massive weapon core flared brighter, each pulse compressing into a denser sphere of destructive potential. Mara's breath caught. "Sir, they're preparing to fire the primary cannon." "We anticipated that," Rian said. Bring Aurora Command Vessel Theta online. Outside, a larger Aurora ship drifted forward, sleek, spear-shaped, and surrounded by shimmering gravity halos. It positioned itself directly between the station and the Dominion flagship. Velcaruan laughed. You're sacrificing your command vessel? How noble. Rian didn't blink. Watch closely. The Dominion cannon unleashed a beam of condensed stellar plasma, a roaring column of white-blue fire that lit the void. The blast tore forward with unstoppable force, until it struck the shifting halo surrounding Vessel Theta. Instead of impact, the beam slowed, distorted, then twisted in a tight spiral as Theta's gravity erased inverted space around it. The superweapon's energy folded in on itself, dispersing harmlessly in a cascade of light. The chamber erupted in gasps. Velcaruan's face drained of color. That weapon destroys continents. How is this possible? Rian finally met his eyes. Humanity stopped accepting the limits others placed on us. The Dominion's fury intensified. More ships fired, pushing wave after wave of fire toward the Aurora line. But human cruisers responded with calculated counterfire, gravity pulses that crushed hulls inward, radiation-bending beams that sliced through Dominion armor, and shockwave bursts that destabilized entire formations. Still, the Dominion flagship remained a threat. Its weapon core began recharging faster than expected, drawing energy from auxiliary reactors. Mara frowned at her console. They're forcing an overload cycle. That cannon isn't meant to fire twice in such a short time frame. They'll risk anything now, Rian said. Even tearing their own vessel apart. Rian input a new command sequence. Prepare for vector collapse maneuver. Mara's eyes widened. Sir, that's untested at full scale. We don't have time for tests. Outside, 3 Aurora cruisers peeled away and formed a triangular pattern around the Dominion flagship. Their engines brightened, pulling gravitational vectors into alignment. Space around them warped, darkening at the edges. Velcaruan shouted at his bridge crew, "Break formation! Move us out of the collapse field!" But the ship was too large, its momentum too slow. The Aurora cruisers executed the maneuver. A pressure wave rippled outward, folding a pocket of space inward with a hollow implosion. The Dominion flagship, caught at the center, shuddered violently. Its hull folded inward as gravitational stresses ripped through its structural frame. The weapon core, still charging, compressed faster than the safeties could compensate. Velcaruan screamed, "No! Stabilize the core! Stable!" The flagship collapsed into itself, vanishing in a silent burst of radiant fragments. The remaining Dominion ships froze. The battle was over the moment their leader vanished. A withdrawal order rippled across their fleet. Engines flared as vessels retreated into emergency jumps, abandoning the sector without another shot. Silence settled across Concord Helios. Inside the chamber, delegates stared at Rian and Mara with newfound recognition, some grateful, some unsettled, all attentive. The balance of the galaxy had changed before their eyes. Velcaruan's absence hung like a shadow. Mara exhaled slowly. "Sir, it's done." "For now," Rian said. "The Dominion will regroup. But the galaxy has witnessed the truth." He stepped toward the window. The Aurora fleet hovered in formation, gleaming, disciplined, resolute. Humanity's hidden strength revealed at last. Delegates approached cautiously. One representative of the Syrixian Accord bowed slightly. "Commander Solace, today your species saved thousands. Perhaps more. The galaxy misjudged your people." "Most did," Rian replied. "But that ends here." He allowed himself a final moment of stillness. The battlefield remained quiet, lit by fading embers and the glow of human ships that had rewritten the fate of an entire region. "Let this day stand," Rian said softly, as the moment humanity stepped out of the margins. Mara looked at him, pride glinting in her eyes. "What now, Commander?" Rian straightened. "Now we prepare. The galaxy is watching, and we won't be underestimated again."